Oh, Kim, are you ready? Sorry, Kim. Okay, here we go. Good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 8th. It's 7:36, and this is a Beverly School Committee of the Whole meeting. Our first order of business, we have no one joining online, so I'm not going to...
Dr. Morgan.
Dr. Morgan, and is he going to... Okay, so Dr. Morgan is not a voting member, so I'm not going to read the whole thing about Dr. Morgan participating online. First order of business is to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are up to number 4. Miss Lindsay, would you bless us with leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fantastic, thank you. Second order of business on the agenda, recognitions of students, employees, and community members. Dr. Cushing, do we have any of those wonderful things this evening?
Not this evening.
Okay, next order of business, approval of meeting records. We'll take them individually. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All right, I'm going to take that as the Sissel because it came from Miss Ducharme, correct? Okay, and Miss Coelho. Anybody have any comments, corrections, or thoughts on the Sissel meeting minutes from 3/11? Seeing none, all those in favor? How about, I'm going to recall that vote, and I'm going to count, and I'm going to encourage only people on Sissel to actually vote. All those in favor? Okay. And how about the regular school committee on 3/11?
So moved.
Coelho?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Ducharme. Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Any comments, corrections on the 3/11 meeting minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? All right, that passes 8-0, and I have already been remiss in saying that our wonderful Ward 1 representative, Miss Frost, will join us as soon as she can. She has the incredible honor of watching one of her children be inducted into the National Honor Society this evening, and that party started at 7 p.m. 6:30 if you were in the Art Honor Society. Our next order of business on our agenda is our report from our student representative to the school committee, Ms. Delia.
Thank you. This weekend, the music department will put on Freaky Friday on Friday and Saturday nights and Sunday afternoon. Tickets are on sale now. Last week, the freshman and sophomore classes had a combined semi-formal at the high school on Friday night. Spring sports are earlier in their seasons with games starting this week and early next week. The quarter ends for students this Friday. This was slightly delayed because of the snow days. Next week, seniors participating in REACH will have their finals. It is also Senior Spirit Week to help the seniors celebrate their last full week. And then following April break, most seniors will work on their REACH internships or projects. The National Honor Society and National Art Honor Society inductions are taking place tonight. And next week, the National Honor Society will be hosting a blood drive through the Red Cross that students and teachers are able to sign up to participate in. Thank you.
And I want to thank you, Ms. Delia. We had our first in a long time student council, student advisory. We held it on site at Beverly High. And Delia had a good handful of people in the room, and Dr. Cushing and I went over there, and we're slated to go back over there again this week, Friday, so 2 days from now. And we're hoping we're going to go fishing and find a Miss Delia. Not that anyone could fill your shoes, but we're going to hope to find a Miss Delia replacement for our table for next year. So thank you. And I understand if you want to, this is your chance, if you want to or need to go do some homework. Okay, next item on our agenda is the open forum for resident voice or input to agenda-related items per policy BEDH. This is an opportunity to speak about topics included or not as part of this agenda. Any person wishing to make such a request should arrive at the posted meeting in time in person or send us an email. in advance of the meeting for any alternative accommodations. Please note, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals in the school committee. It is an individual's opportunity to express an opinion or issues that fall within the school committee's authority. Remarks are addressed through the chair, who may refer items to the superintendent for future consideration. And this evening, Mr. Taylor is going to do us the favor of keeping the time. When you're called to the podium, we ask you to please limit your remarks to 3 minutes so that we have enough time to hear from everybody. And if the timer goes off and you're close, I'll try to be graceful and let you finish. The first person signed up to speak this evening is Miss Alex Wozniak. When you come to the podium, did I say this already? Please state your name and your address. For the record.
Okay. Alex Wozniak, 5 Hawthorne Street in Beverly. I am also recently retired after 20 years as the middle school librarian in Beverly Public Schools. I had this on a piece of paper and I've lost it somewhere in here. Okay. I knew my job mattered when I graded hundreds of summer reading assignments and often saw it was the best book I ever read. But it felt like I didn't matter when the whole summer reading program and the spring book fair were put on the verge of being canceled. I knew my job mattered when I was peppered with questions daily by parents, staff, students, and friends who would replace me. And when I retired, and they said how important it was to hire a new librarian. But I felt like it didn't matter when the job wasn't posted until a few weeks before my retirement, after many, many emails and conversations, even though I gave a year's notice. I knew my job mattered when kids got excited to check out books, new books. One day, recently, a girl in a headscarf was so pleased to get a book with a girl who looked like her on the cover. Another saw a book in Portuguese and told me that's what my family speaks at home. But it felt like it didn't matter when more than $1,500 in community donations for my retirement party fundraiser and grant money from a local organization can't be accessed because there's no new librarian. I knew my job mattered when I set students up with the Sora e-reader app, where they found graphic novels we couldn't afford to stock, the next book in a favorite series, audiobooks to listen to, or stories in their home language, and I found picture books to read every week to students in our Attain program. But I felt like it didn't matter without a full-time librarian to replace me. Students will lose access to the Sora collection along with valuable databases. I knew my job mattered when I collaborated with teachers in many subject areas and every grade level to show students how to find, identify, and use good quality information written at their level about topics important to them. But I felt like it didn't matter when my expertise in education was not called upon by anyone working on curriculum at an administrative level to support digital literacy skills and standards woven through multiple subject areas. I knew my job mattered because dozens of studies over many years show time and time again that a school library program led by a qualified school librarian and supported by administration is directly connected to higher reading scores. But I felt like it didn't matter when I was not observed by an administrator for over 5 years. I knew my job mattered when DESE published a study on media literacy in Massachusetts that prominently recommended investing in school librarians as media literacy leaders. But I felt like it didn't matter when I was asked to teach digital literacy to just 25 students instead of using that class and prep time to collaborate with teachers across the school. I knew my job mattered when I came in early every morning for years so dozens of kids could check out or return books, connect with classmates, finish homework, or just be in a safe, comfortable space while parent volunteers I organized came to assist and to reshelve books. But I felt like it didn't matter because this district thinks it's okay to have parents run the elementary libraries. Parents are not invited to make sandwiches in school kitchens, teach art or gym, drive buses, or clean classrooms. But somehow we think they can take the place of someone with a master's degree and a teaching certification. This is my last bit. I thought my job mattered when I came in over the summer during vacation time and stayed late many days to organize 20 years of materials and files to hand over to a successor. But I knew it didn't matter when there was no one to take my place when I left. Thank you.
Our next signed up speaker is Ms. Dwyer.
Hello. Jana Dwyer, 78 Water Street. This is my 8th year as a school adjustment counselor at Beverly Middle School. Currently, there are 8.8 counselors at BMS, 2 full-time counseling jobs have been eliminated in the last 2 school years. With 8.8 counselors and 1,408 students, we currently have a ratio of 1 counselor for every 160 students. Exactly. 0.0. At Beverly High School, there are 14 counselors, including their counseling director, for 1,192 students. That's 1 counselor for every 85 students. If you don't count the director, there are 13 counselors, so that's a ratio of 1 counselor to 93 students. I want to highlight this huge inequity and ask the school committee to consider this when making budgets for this year and in future years. Puberty is a volatile time. The counselors at the middle school are stretched very thin. The needs of students on IEPs and 504 plans are prioritized. We're not able to fully support the needs of our general education students. I have 37 kids on my IEP caseload who I see individually or in a small group, some of whom more than once a week. It makes it difficult to be able to meet the needs for the other students because many needs and challenges come up. Ideally, counselors at the middle school would be able to both respond to dysregulated students and implement Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions. An example of a Tier 1 intervention would be a lesson in a classroom on social emotional learning. An example of a Tier 2 intervention would be small groups or lunch bunches to support students developing self-regulation skills, social skills, or self-advocacy skills, students that don't necessarily have a legal plan. A comprehensive counseling program or curriculum would support all students proactively instead of just the highest need students reactively. As parents and teachers know, learning cannot happen when a child is dysregulated. Sometimes our students are so dysregulated that they disrupt learning for the whole class. Supporting students' social and emotional needs and skill development for all students is key to making sure that the entire school can access the curriculum. I have no expectation that this public comment will make a change tonight or in this year's budget, but I ask that this information be taken into account as future budgets are being created. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Our next speaker signed up to speak is Rachel Rex. I think Rex? Ray? Or it's Rachel Ray. We're getting a famous person.
Good evening. Rachel Rex, 16 Elm New Avenue in Beverly. I'm here tonight to express my strong opposition to the proposed increase of the Beverly High School hockey user fee from $315 to $1,000, while also acknowledging the very real budgetary challenges facing this district. I understand that difficult financial decisions must be made. I appreciate the responsibility you carry in balancing budgets while maintaining programs. However, this proposal creates an inequitable and discriminatory barrier to participation. Public school athletics should be accessible to all students. My family has paid nearly $1,500 in athletic user fees this year. 2 student athletes, 5 sports. Raising the hockey fee to $1,000 would make it financially impossible for my son to continue participating as a 3-sport athlete, which is contrary to everything we know about the academic, social, and health benefits of school athletics. What is perhaps most troubling is the acknowledgement by the superintendent that this increase will be a shock to the system for families, coupled with his recognition that hockey already carries significant financial barriers due to equipment, ice time, and other costs. If the administration is fully aware that this proposal will shock families and that hockey is already one of the most cost-prohibitive sports, then advancing a plan that more than triples the fee is not just misguided, it's indefensible. Recognizing harm and proceeding anyway is not leadership. It reflects a lack of thoughtful planning, a failure to fully explore alternatives, and a disregard for the very students and families that this district serves. I'm also deeply concerned that the proposal was brought forward without sufficient vetting or accurate analysis. Some of the numbers cited simply don't align with what families experience or what comparable districts report. A proposal of this magnitude requires transparency and precision. Additionally, it's my understanding the city already provides significant tax advantages to Endicott, and that discounted ice time already exists for both Beverly youth and high school hockey. If that's true, then families deserve a clear explanation of why costs are being passed along at this level. Full transparency on these arrangements is essential. I've also previously emailed the superintendent, a school committee member, and the mayor. To this date, questions that I have had have gone unanswered, though I remain hopeful for transparent replies and due diligence. This is not a financial issue. This is an equity issue. There are more balanced, creative approaches that could address budget needs without excluding students. Implement a family cap. In the district where I teach, Gloucester, there's a $1,200 cap. Phase increases over time. Distribute costs more proportionately across sports. Explore sponsorships, fundraising, negotiate ice rates, and ensure that no student is excluded due to financial hardship. We've seen neighboring districts lose hockey programs entirely due to rising costs. That should be a warning, not a model. I urge you to pause this proposal, ensure the data is accurate, and work collaboratively with families to find solutions that maintain both fiscal responsibility and equitable access for all students. Thank you.
Simeon, our next speaker is Simeon.
Okay. Good evening. Rosemary Simeon, 920 Hale Street. I'm the proud mom of two sons who have played hockey their entire lives, and our families have been deeply involved in Beverly athletics and our schools. I want to first thank you for your service. I recognize the time and effort and difficult decisions that come with your roles. I truly appreciate your commitment to our students and our community. I want to acknowledge that I understand the financial challenges facing Beverly Public Schools first. I know that budget constraints are real and that increases and tough choices are sometimes necessary. No one expects things to stay the same forever. My concern tonight and today is with equity. The proposed increase from 315 to 1,000 is a significant jump. From what has been shared publicly, it also appears that detailed sports-specific cost data is not fully tracked or clearly presented. If that's the case, it's difficult to understand how such a significant and disproportionate increase can be justified. I respectfully ask that the committee ensure there is clear, transparent data available, data that shows how costs are calculated, how fees are determined, and how this proposal aligns with the district's commitment to equity. This isn't just about hockey. It's about making sure that all students and families are treated fairly, and that access to school athletic remains equitable for all. Thank you for your time and for listening.
Next speaker. Next speaker is Ms. Johnston.
Heather Johnston, 167 McKay Street. Good evening. I speak tonight as a hockey mom and the leader of the Girls Booster Program throughout our senior daughter's entire high school hockey career. As a mom of two daughters who have gone through Beverly Public Schools, I recognize the financial challenges that we have faced over those years and appreciate the thoughtful concern and decisions that need to go into making our district a viable one with continued education for our students. I'm here to speak specifically about the proposed increase to the hockey program fee. From its current level to $1,000, which represents a $217,000 increase, this stands in stark contrast to the approximately 10% increase proposed for other sports. This disparity raises serious concerns about equity and fairness. If we are asking all families to share in the burden of budget constraints, then that burden should be distributed in a way that is consistent and justifiable. Singling out one sport for such a dramatic increase without transparent, detailed explanation tied directly to actual costs feels inequitable and frankly discriminatory. I also want to highlight an important aspect of the girls' ice hockey program. It's a cooperative team that brings together student athletes from multiple communities. Families from different towns come together under one team, one identity, and one shared commitment. A fee increase of this magnitude creates a situation where families on the same team may be paying drastically different amounts to participate depending upon where they live. That directly undermines the unity we work so hard to build. It sends the message that despite wearing the same jersey, players are not being treated equally. That is not the example we want to set for these ladies. Beyond the numbers, I urge you to consider the broader impact of this decision. This is not just about one team or one season. This is about the message we send as a community. We often speak about unity, inclusion, and equity in our schools. Yet decisions like this risk creating division. This can and should be a teaching moment. Our students are watching us. They are learning from how we respond to difficult situations. They are learning what fairness and equity looks like, what leadership looks like, and how community supports one another in times of challenges. What we do not want to teach them is that it's acceptable to single out one group and treat them differently. Instead, let's model collaboration, transparency, and equity for all. Let's work together as a city, as a school system, and as parents to find solutions that are fair and sustainable for everyone. I respectfully ask the committee to reconsider this proposal, ask for greater transparency around the costs driving this increase, and explore more equitable alternatives. Thank you for your time and consideration.
The next speaker on the sheet is Mr. LeBlanc. LeBlanc.
First off, I'd like to thank all you guys. I understand, the mayor, superintendent, school committee. Obviously, this is a hard decision for all you guys, and yeah, it's tough. I'd like to start. I kind of have a unique perspective of all this. I'm a hockey parent. I'm the current Beverly Youth Hockey president, and I coach the girls hockey team this year. And like you, I wouldn't be doing my job as kind of the voice of the youth hockey program without coming here and speaking to you tonight. I've always looked at sports as part of the curriculum. My daughters, I don't know who here tonight, daughters in National Honor Society, my daughter's being inducted as well, right? And I can tell you right now, she's not a member of National Honor Society without sports, right? She's a captain of 2 teams, and she's not there without being able to participate in sports. Her coaches, her older teammates when she was younger, kind of teaching her the right way to do things. Both my daughters play high school sports, and just what it's done for them, both just the social aspect and the school aspect is incredible. So I think there's a misconception of what the hockey parent is. I think, everybody thinks, oh, they play hockey, they must have money, right? I can tell you with Beverly Youth Hockey, most of our parents are on payment plans, right? They put their credit card on the thing, and we take out $200 a month for them to be able to afford their kid to play hockey, right? Most of them work second jobs to be able to afford that, so that opportunity for their kid, like most of us in here, it isn't just, oh, let's just write a check for $2,000. Now our kid can play hockey that year. It doesn't work that way, right? I got to figure out which credit card to put it on this time to be able to pay for it. And that's most of our hockey parents. I can tell you right now, my daughter, she's got $2,000 worth of equipment on her when she goes out to play a game for Beverly High, 0 of which is paid for by the Beverly school system, right? You look at football players, head to toe, they got their football gear, right? Helmets, I talked to somebody from another school district, it's $500 a helmet. And then they got to send them out to get repurposed, right? So we as hockey parents understand that, we have different fees and stuff like that, but in the end, it's got to even itself out. What is the cost of the new turf field? Did we go and charge the field hockey and lacrosse parents the $1 million it costs for the turf fields, right? The hockey parents don't just go and sit there and watch their kids play on the turf, right? I would implore you, just, my daughter will play hockey, whether it's 1,000 or 2,000. Most importantly, the people who are affected, the kids that need it the most, the kids that just want to be part of a team, right? The girls' team this year, we had so many girls. They didn't get much ice time, but they just were able to be part of the team. And those are the ones that are going to be affected by this the most, because they won't be able to play for $1,000, I'll tell you that. All right, so just keep it in consideration. I implore you to reduce the rate, and hopefully we can make this work. Thank you.
The next speaker, Ms. Vitale. Mr. Vitale.
Good evening. Obviously, I'm not Carrie. She's in the hospital tonight and asked me to speak on her behalf. Do I have permission to do so? Great. Carrie lives at 17 Cobblers Lane. She just wanted to thank you for giving her the opportunity, I guess me on her behalf, to speak with you about this proposed hockey increase. Carrie's a single mother raising 2 children in the school system, both of who have been involved in sports as long as as she can remember. Athletics are a central part of their lives. They help keep them active, focused, engaged in something positive. I think a lot of us can relate to that. I ask that you take a moment to consider the perspective of families like Carrie's. Many of families like Carrie's are middle-class households working hard to make ends meet while raising children the best they can. Participation in these sports is not just about playing a game. It's about building community, developing discipline, giving kids a sense of purpose outside the classroom. These experiences help students stay on the right path and provide an outlet for their passions. Carrie's deeply concerned that this significant increase will be detrimental to the BHS hockey program, and most importantly, to the students and families it serves, raising the cost, I think, as we've all heard tonight, from $315 to $1,000, which is a significant increase for a program that only lasts a few months. It risks excluding students who otherwise would benefit greatly from the participation and may discourage new players from joining altogether. Many families, including Carrie's, have children participating in multiple sports throughout the year. A sudden and disproportionate increase like this creates difficult financial decisions and equities among athletic programs. Carrie urges the committee, and I second her, to reconsider this proposal and explore more equitable, sustainable solutions that preserve fair access to the BHS hockey program for all students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Ms. Walsh.
Hello, my name is Megan Walsh. I'm here as a parent of 2 high school hockey players tonight, as well as a member of the Beverly High School Boys Hockey Boosters team. I seem to be in a phase of my life right now where I keep finding myself in situations where 2 things can be equally true. While this is doing a number on my mental psyche, I think it's also good practice in seeing both sides of a situation. This proposed increase towards only high school hockey tuition is one of those situations. 2 things can be equally true. 1, balancing the school and city budget this year is going to feel like an impossible task, and it's going to require unpopular decisions. 2, implementing a budget policy that is inequitable toward only a small population of public school students and families is not a solution. Inequitable decisions in a budget are not the same as unpopular decisions. These 2 things are not true. What I'm asking is that the cost and revenue of all sports, including the cost of grounds, maintenance, turf, lighting, be evaluated, and each sports program be tiered or re-tiered accordingly. I then ask that the same percentage increase be assigned by tier, not sport, to equitably be assigned to all sports families. We understand that we have to make tough, unpopular decisions related to budget. We understand that sports fees may need to go up in order to help contribute to helping or solving the problems of the budget. But we can't accept that we target one specific small population of sports families to meet that need without at least providing significant data and information that justifies that percentage cost increase. For all other sports, a 10% cost increase is being proposed. For hockey, we're jumping to 217%. It's just incredibly inequitable, and we ask that you consider that and reconsider a proposal to this. As a member of the boosters and as part of my work in that organization, I'm a member of the program committee, and we also have been belated in providing Dr. Cushing with a copy of the program for your one-page ad this year. So we're also just taking this moment to give that to you. So thank you for that support.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Also, thanks for designing the ad.
Yes, yes, that is our work also.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak who has not yet spoken? It's like last call. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming and for being very respectful of the time. Rounding out your remarks when the timer went off. Thank you, Mr. Taylor, for keeping the time. At this point in time, I would entertain a motion to take something out of order. Item number 10, so public forum is item number 5. Item number 10 is communications from school committee members. And I thought that based on how many communications we've all received, specifically on the sports fee issue, that it might make sense to take that next. If the body so chooses, I would entertain that motion to take item 10 next.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Taylor, okay. Any discussion on this agenda order change? All those in favor? Okay, fantastic. All right, so just making my notes over here, out of order. That said, communications from school committee members. Who wants to be brave and go first? I see you, Mr. Taylor. Please let it be you.
You know I have some communications. Do you want me to speak solely about hockey? I have some other communications.
No, we're taking this item out of order, so whatever you want to talk about, whatever you planned on talking about on item number 10, communications from school committee members, you are free to do so now.
Okay, so I have 5 items that I did want to address our body about. One was that there recently was an event in Pride's Crossing, my ward, Ward 6, that impacted our community. And whether you are rich or poor, and whether you live in a large house, a small house, an apartment, or with your parents in Centerville or otherwise, as you navigate your journey in life, you do not deserve to be pistol whipped or gagged. I think this tragedy emphasizes that our school budget impacts our city budget as a whole, as we must consider that the size of the school budget often takes other resources from investigations of certain other activities. Second, I want to recognize the kindness and completeness, as we have a degree of incivility, President Visnick, in our society sometimes, of the review of information that I have received from hockey parents. From our recent meeting regarding hockey fee increases. It takes a lot of effort for them to find your ward members' names and emails, and it takes a lot of courage to engage with local government, and I appreciate that. Many of the reach outs showed an understanding of the fiscal constraints, which I appreciated and I'm talking about emails that I receive. The best way to get our individual attention is to send an individual email to one of us, addressed to us personally, as our protocol. President Visnick will probably speak about if you send a global email to the entire school committee, is that President Visnick will respond. We will not individually. And then I want to recognize that while all businesses in Beverly contribute to our school community, I want to specifically recognize the bookstore of Beverly Farms for providing space for our Cove and Centerville students. And finally, and I'll conclude on this note, the Beverly Bicycle Committee expects to have a community-wide bicycle event celebrate the end of the school year, closer to the end of May, on a Saturday that will be open to all ages, including my own, and I do not attend any of our schools. Unfortunately, I'm of such an age. I'll provide that date to our community as that is firmed up, and it usually is a length of about a mile. And that is the only communication that I have. Thank you.
Looking for hands. Okay, I saw Ducharme, Coelho, and Cahill in that order.
I know, I'll try to be quick because I know we all received a lot of communications. I received some heartfelt, concerned communications on the hockey fees, and I thank those again that came tonight. I heard you, and I appreciate that you took the time to come tonight. I received some communications regarding some proposed enrollment staff reductions at some of the elementary schools. I want to circle back to the subject of the hockey fees and let the committee know that I reached out to Mayor Cahill and President Julie Flowers to see if there was something that could be done about the hockey fees in partnership with Endicott under the pilot program. I understand there are some restrictions there. I also received an email about understandings about open meeting law and our ability to communicate. I understand that this subject is not on the agenda, so we can't have a robust conversation about it tonight, but I would like to propose that we have a future conversation about how we as committee members respond to individual constituent emails. It's my understanding, well, I will pause there and just say that I'd like to have future conversations about how we handle those communications, specifically when we all receive them. And then I received a really thoughtful, articulate email on iPad usage, damage to those, associated costs, and perhaps more information about the pros and cons of those. Again, I understand that's not an item that's on the agenda tonight, so I'd like to ask the administration if we could have kind of a robust conversation about that at a future sort of ASAP scenario. I think it is relevant, important, and budgetary. So if, President, you feel like that's something we can talk about tonight, it's not on the agenda, so I think it's probably relevant to have a robust conversation about it at a time when we can put it on the agenda. But I do think it's an important topic for a lot of different reasons.
Ms. Coelho.
My communication didn't have anything to do with the budget, though.
That's okay.
Okay, my communication happened to do with the proposed cell phone social media ban that's going through the State House. So I did reach out to our state representative, Hannah Bowen, and had a conversation with her today with clarifications for it and some amendments. And she's supposed to be getting back to me about that later today or tomorrow, which will probably be tomorrow because we're here. And the only other thing I wanted to do was give a shout out to City Councilor Steve Crowley, as he had this past Saturday, he had an Easter egg hunt for the kids of Gloucester Crossing with a pizza lunch for them.
Gotta love that. Ms. Cahill.
Thank you. I had a number of communications largely related to the increase in the hockey fee. I also had another communication from a parent who was concerned about the lack of a full-time librarian here at the middle school. In addition to that, I had an email about a family being concerned about the cuts in the middle school staffing, that they're worried about losing the 2 fifth grade teachers, as well as losing an adjustment counselor, and what was the possibility of looking at whether staffing cuts could be cut at a different, higher level, maybe administratively. I attended the Ayers Ryleside PTO meeting, which was lovely. They sent us a nice invitation to come, and Catherine and I both had the opportunity to visit, one of us remotely and one of us in person. They have some stuff going on for Earth Week. They currently have 72 students registered for kindergarten registration on April the 9th. May 20, as of April 29th, they've had, today was the show, I'm sorry, the kindergarten show, April 26th. Kindergarten screening, there's 72 students already registered. They've been doing a great job of collaborating with the middle school for fundraising with cradles and crayons. They are very pleased with how the 8th graders at the middle school have been collecting all the materials and making sure they have what they need. They have a fun run fundraiser on May the 6th at 8:30 to 11:30 in the morning, a yard sale on May 16th. Tables are available for that yard sale at $20 per table. And then they are honoring the teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week from the 4th to the 8th of May. They have things planned for each day there. I think I got most of that. Oh, you got your piece here.
Fantastic, thank you. Ms. Frost?
Just piggybacking on that, in the month of April at La Cuchara, you have the option to donate to the Ayers Ryleside PTO, and they are interested in participating in the parade that you had mentioned. So that is that, and I have an idea, but that's not a constituent concern. I did receive several emails, phone calls, text messages, and a few folks bumped into me, and they shared their concerns, which have already been, which were eloquently expressed about the increase in the user fee in the hockey program. And lastly, I received an email from an 8th grader who shared what it's like to have feelings of stress, some negative feelings around doing well in school. And she was kind enough to express what that's like for her.
Yes, Ms. Robinson?
Thank you. So much of what I've heard has already been shared, but I just wanted to just say that hearing the same information over and over tells me that I think we really need to have a robust conversation about the hockey fee, the proposed hockey fee increase, the lack of a middle school librarian, also the number of administrators seeking positions outside of the district. That's come up in a lot of emails to me, and of course the concern over cuts of student-facing positions and the worry that administrative positions are not being looked at. That's it. I summarized multiple emails.
All right, yes, Ms. Lennox?
I probably will be repeating some as well, but I want to make sure I recognize the many emails I received as well. I got a very thoughtful email from the Friends of Beverly High School Hockey and the Hockey Boosters that was asking some really valid and important questions that I think we could dive into a little bit. I also received 2 emails from 2 8th graders. I think one of them many people may have received, talking about transportation and the constant late buses and how that's affecting students negatively, and stressing them out being late. I've received a few emails from Cove parents who are concerned, Cove parents of children soon to be entering 4th grade, who are concerned about the proposed cutting of a 4th grade teacher I've also received emails about the librarian at the middle school. And then also, as Karen mentioned, the admins interviewing outside the district. So sorry to repeat, but I do think those are all really important things, and thank the people who sent the emails.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, do you want to get in on this party?
I'll go after you.
You'll go after me? Sure. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. All right. So maybe in reverse order, all of those things, the civics emails, this is just a fabulous thing. I want to encourage everybody, if you get one, to make sure you're looking at your email. There was a wave of them, I don't know, maybe about a month ago, and now there seems to be another wave. I have a few sitting in my box, and if anybody's watching from home, I'll be working on replying to those probably this weekend. Love that they're getting involved. Love that Bev 400, I did a shout out last week or last meeting, and some other school, and I apologize because I there's just too much going on in between my rapidly graying curls. Last time somebody also then contacted me and said, yeah, we want to do one and we need a trailer. So I'm happy to report we do actually have a trailer for whoever that was. Ayers Ryle side, you have the best connection because you have Mr. Rotundo as your city councilor. So if you need anything, you know where to go. Relative to group emails and our communications, it really comes down to the potential for an open meeting law violation. And so I've been trying to reply when people send a group email, when it looks like sometimes you know that it was sent to everybody, even though you don't see everybody's emails on there. And the more you kind of hang out and do this job, the more you'll be able to get that sense as well. And the part of the problem is that we can't control what someone else does with our replies. And so although each of you might want to reply, if in fact each of you replies and that person then takes your reply, especially if it has some kind of an opinion in it, and passes it along to another one of you, then we've created a serial communication. Well, we haven't, but that person has, and we're still on the hook for it. So this is why we tend to not all reply, why I recommend that we not do that, and that leads me right into the next item, which is that I emailed all of you, I think yesterday, it all runs together. There is an upcoming open meeting law training that the city is hosting that we are very strongly encouraged to attend. This would be a great topic. You can ask your questions to the city solicitor and the person who's going to put that training on. Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Madam President. So a couple things for the folks who came tonight and for everybody who has reached out to us on budgetary matters and other matters. Thank you for doing that. I want to say two things. One is that so we're all understanding kind of the genesis of some of the conversation, right? Every year in the late fall, November, December, our city charter requires that we undergo a financial forecasting process, looking out next year, looking out several years. And that process typically shows that our projected expenditures outpace our projected revenues as we look a year out and beyond. This year, there's a little more stark. And yet, we're bound under the state constitution and our own city charter to pass a balanced budget every year. So we do. And along the way, we work very hard to try to deliver the services across the city and schools that we know we need. And I say that just to say that one of the things that the Financial Forecasting Committee asked the schools were to consider fee increases across the range of fees that are charged on the school side. And so that's really why you see this set of proposals that has been put in front of us for our kind of deliberation and consideration. I do want to say that at a personal level, some of you know that I taught school for my first 10 years after college, and some of you also know that I've coached sports at various levels for over 40 years. I personally am extremely opposed to all fees for activities. So user fee, activity fee, whatever you want to call it, I don't want us charging any fees because a couple of you said it very eloquently, and I believe it and agree wholeheartedly. Whatever it is that our kids find, however they find community, however they find themselves, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's out of the classroom, it's all core to helping them develop into the people we know they can be and we want them to be. So I don't know where we'll land when this process is done on this, all of our fees. And I'm probably not alone in not liking fees at all on the committee as well. But I really appreciate you coming here and sharing your concerns and your passion. So thanks very much.
All right. I would also like to, the next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report, and I would like you to please do the field trip vote next, because we've already been here for a little bit. Can you, to be official, so underneath the superintendent's report, there are
We need
4 items
Items
in
by
the,
consensus.
the overnight field trip. I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay, fine.
Continue out of order.
All right, I
I
want to
support-
go out of order. I want item 7, subpart C to be next, the overnight field trip for DECA, trip to
I'll
Atlanta.
second your motion.
Who made the motion?
You did.
I did. I made that motion. Oh, I love that. I get in the meeting minutes. Mayor, voting, any comments, discussion? All those in favor? Going out of order again here tonight. Okay, 9-0, that passes. Fantastic. Dr. Cushing.
So like to call to the podium again, Ms. Mariscalchi?
Yes.
Sorry, I always worry when I mispronounce your name.
That's all right.
Before I
Everybody
do
does.
that, though, as the parents are still in the audience, I really do want to thank you. Trust me, have read all of your emails. We're working through a lot of the financials. We'll have comprehensive reports on the sports fees. As I've said to the mayor and to others, I wish that we had a way to build an endowment that would make activities fees never have to be charged. All right, now that's a lot of money that would take a long time to do, but I've publicly said here, you probably didn't hear it, because who watches the meetings until there's an issue, right? I'm not a fan of user fees either. But when you look at paraprofessionals or educators versus, we've got to find a way to balance it. And I'm happy to take another look at it, happy to really dive into it. If anyone has any big pocketed sponsors or anything like that, I'm happy to bring that to the committee as well, because that would require committee approval. But I do appreciate your advocacy on all fronts tonight, not just the sports user fees. I appreciate Coach LeBlanc, everything you did with our team this year, having been to many of those games. And so really appreciate that. So I don't want you to think it's lost on me. As a 3-sport athlete and a college athlete and a parent of an athlete, at least 2, we'll figure out about the 19-month-old. But I understand where you're coming from. I hear you. And that's what I got. Atlanta, how many kids?
So we had 14 qualifiers and leadership spots that we obtained through our international campaigns for community service. We're going to Atlanta April 25th, which is the latter part of April vacation, through the 29th. So, yeah, it should be it always is. These kids work really hard. There were over 4,000 students at our state conference this year, which was probably one of the biggest numbers I think we've ever had. We were in Boston for 3 days and 2 nights. Beverly High School, once again, just represents themselves so amazingly. Our students were awesome, and I'm super proud of them.
I am looking for a motion.
So moved.
Because I so heard Dr. Cushing say that he approves with like a ton of energy. Why wouldn't we? This is
Vigorously.
one of the best things we do. I
Thank you.
really, I have a
It's fun.
special place in my heart as my children have gone through that program.
Appreciate that.
All right, so Mayor, you're the
Second.
motion.
Thank you.
Ms. Robinson, you're the second. Mr. Taylor, do you have a question?
What is the motion about?
A motion to approve this
Overnight
field
approval.
trip?
Yeah. 5 days with high school students, 14,000 of them.
Any comments, questions? Yes, Ms. Lennox.
Just with the nurse, I know that had been discussed with other field trips out of state. What's the plan?
International DECA provides them, so they're all over site, so, and we have all the numbers and everything else.
Yes, Mr. Taylor?
How are you getting to?
We are flying, so we are taking Frontier Airlines yes, so we're leaving on Saturday, the 25th, and we're coming home the following Wednesday. Yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Awesome.
That
Thank
passes
you.
9-0. Sorry to make you wait.
No,
Good
no
luck.
worries. Good luck, everyone.
All right, going back, we're moonwalking. Going back to item 6, items for consensus. I'm looking for a motion to approve the batch of warrants.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Thank you, Ms. Cahill. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passes 9-0. And now we're back on the number 7, the superintendent reports. ABD.
Thank you.
President Visnick,
Yes, Mr. Taylor.
may I ask for a 1-minute recess?
1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay, could it be 2 minutes?
Can we be realistic? All right, look at 8:35, recessed until 8:35. You got 3 minutes, go. Let the record show it was more than 1 minute and more than 3 minutes. But here we go. We're back at it. Dr. Cushing, we are on item number 7, the superintendent reports, items A, B, and D, given we've already taken item C out of order.
Thank you, President Visnick. And again, I just want to say thank you for the people with public comment, and happy to have any conversations with the committee about any of the topics at future meetings. So I also want to take a moment to just call out and recognize the passing of past Superintendent Jim Hayes. I believe Jim Hayes was here from 2004 to 2010 as superintendent, if I'm recalling correctly. He passed away recently and was laid to rest yesterday. So just want to recognize his service to the district and a moment of appreciation. And trying to advance the slide. All right. So while not first, want to talk about school choice. So looking for approval this evening of the school choice program. So I just wanted to provide some context and understanding. These slides will all be shared and posted on the website. Shared some links in here that reference general laws, some Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, frequently asked questions, and other documentation from a 2023 webinar on it. So School Choice Program allows families to enroll their children in schools and communities other than the city or town in which they reside. All Massachusetts school districts are required to accept the Inter-District School Choice Program unless you vote to opt out by June 1st of each year. And on an annual basis, school districts may opt out completely or opt in on a limited basis, but the school committee, determined by the school committee by school grade and number of available spots. I have that data for you here this evening. You should have gotten a landscape page with yellow on the top that will be shown, presented momentarily. So if you accept school choice, we're responsible for communicating this to the prospective students or families. If there are a limited number of seats available, we need to have a random basis without discrimination. All right, so essentially a lottery. Our policy establishes that will be twice in the summertime. Receiving districts must notify both DESE and the Sunday districts of enrolled students. School choice tuition for students is $5,000. That has not been updated. I understand that there is a bill in front of the legislature to consider that. For a student with an IEP plan, a special education increment is added to the tuition rate that the receiving district is paid. And school choice students who require an out-of-district placement become the financial responsibility of the receiving district, but are also able to recoup some of those costs through circuit breaker. Just to be clear, no school committee shall discriminate in the admission of any child on the basis of race, color, religious creed, national origin, sex, gender identity, age, sexual orientation, ancestry, athletic performance, physical handicap, special need, or academic performance or proficiency in the English language. So basically, it's a blind acceptance for accepting school choice. These will be shared out. I'm not going to go through each link, but it gives that presentation to, these are all, most of these are housed locally. Some are DESE websites, but most of them are just Google Drive docs. So a DESE presentation from FY23, school choice, mass general law, an FAQ presented by DESE, a family guide for choosing school in Massachusetts, which also references the 2 virtual schools in the Commonwealth, one through Greenfield and one through Tecca. DESE interdistrict school choice document, and then an advisory memorandum on financial administration of the school choice program. So just want to provide comprehensive information. Here are the current enrollments. All right, so you see that right now we in grade 1 are over. Sometimes that happens because if a family moves out and requests school choice, it is considered to be granted at times because the student is here, but we have to do a lottery each and every time. So we have 2 grades where we're currently over the allotment, so that would be essentially closed for next year based on the previously allotted kindergarten through grade 6, 10 slots per grade. Grades 7 and 8 is 15 slots per grade, and high school is 20 spots per grade. At kindergarten, we have 10 slots available because students have not started to apply. And we have 10 applications. I apologize for misreading that. And 1 request for first grade, 0 for second grade, 5 requests for third grade, 4 requests, 2 requests for fourth grade, 4 requests for fifth grade, 3 requests for sixth grade, 4 requests for eighth grade. Where that number is greater than, we would need to have a lottery. If the number holds less than the available seats, those students would be admitted. Whether or not a student actually chooses to attend, last year we had several students who chose to go to other schools, however it may be, but despite entering through the lottery, they did not materialize as students. Grade 9 has 10 seats available, grade 10 has 5 seats available, grade 11 has 1 seat available, and grade 12 has 1 seat available for next year. My recommendation to the committee would be to continue on with the current the current slots per grade, where we are looking at enrollment reductions. I would not recommend, especially in those grades, increasing. We don't have strong kindergarten numbers right now. We need to we are outreaching quite a bit on that, but we just don't have strong kindergarten numbers. We're hoping to avoid a flurry of registrations this summer, as happens to be the case. So anyone you talk to who may have a rising kindergartner, please remind them to register in advance so they can secure their home school. My recommendation would be to maintain the current numbers as they stand.
Before we open it up for conversation, I'm looking for a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Was that you, Ms. Ducharme?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cahill. Hold on one second. Ducharme and Cahill, go. Mr. Taylor.
Dr. Cushing, if we accept these students, do we have responsibility for their transportation?
No.
Mr. Mayor, did I see your hand up previously?
You did. Thank you, Madam President. I thought you were going to ask Mr. Taylor about their future. So I'm going to say, once we accept a student, we've got them through graduation if they want to be here.
Correct.
Right. So
They are, for all intents and purposes, they are then a Beverly student.
Yep. Just wanted to double check. I know our numbers a long time where our slots available were lower. I think it was just last year we upped them.
Yes.
Right? And so they were 10 through 8th grade and then 15 in the high school, correct? And we just upped them to 15 for 7 and 8 and upped them to from 10 to 15 for 7 and 8 and from 15 to 20 for high school. I'm just trying to.
Yes, that is my recollection.
Better memories, that's what
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
That's what we
It's
did
my
here.
recollection from viewing the meeting as well.
Yeah.
I remember that clearly.
Okay, thanks. My only other question is that projected enrollment, our enrollment currently is more around 4,500 to 4,600?
No, I'll have to double check those numbers and get back to you on that. Because I know earlier this year, before our October 1 numbers, we were trending a bit higher in the 4,500 to 4,600 range, but
Right.
let me just confirm those.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Ms. Robinson, then I'm going to let Ms. Ducharme have a first swing at things, and then Mr. Taylor. So, Ms. Robinson, you're in the box. Ms. Ducharme, you're on deck. Mr. Taylor puts you on double deck.
Oh, it's my turn.
Oh, Ms. Cahill, you were in the queue. I'm sorry.
She was next. You
Yes,
were next.
Ms. Cahill, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just sitting here enjoying everybody's conversations anyway. I do have some concerns about the numbers, most specifically in 6, 7, and 8. We had people speak to us tonight about the ratio of adjustment counselors to students, the cut in some of the student-facing positions that are coming up down the line. I wonder if we really, this is a good time to look at those numbers and whether we need to reduce those, given the fact that middle school is probably one of the most, I don't want to say volatile, one of the most fluid times in a child's life where they're trying to make decisions about things. They need a lot of support around things. And, they're not getting, the class size is going to be a little bit larger, and there's not going to be the kind of support services in place that we have perhaps in high school. So maybe it's worth looking at reducing the numbers that we take in from middle school students.
Right, so I'm just going to clarify, once we take a student, we have them. So what we could do is, if you look in the seats available column, there is one seat that we could take off the record for 6th grade next year, right? So if we add up those three numbers, so we could lower by 12 total students, 13 if we count 5th grade in the middle school. So that, just making that very clear, that is the most that we could reduce in the middle school. The other option is that you don't take, and we did this somewhere in the past, we did not take kindergartners, and then that entire 12 years, we had no students in one grade. We had no choice students in a particular grade, right? Clearly that takes a little while to bubble up through to our middle school. All right, this side of the table, in the box, giddy up.
Thank you. No, I am. Okay, sorry. So, just piggybacking off of what Ms. Cahill said, I guess I'm just kind of looking at school choice for Beverly anyway, because we are one of the communities that has rising enrollment continuously. So I'm kind of looking at school choice as like taking on a second job, even when we can't handle what we have right now, just because we need the money. I think it might be a big mistake to take on any kids at this point. And I understand that we can get a significant amount of money for each student that we take in, but to add, I can't vote to add additional students to already full classrooms. And when I say full, I mean full of behaviors and full of needs that maybe didn't exist before. And then putting an additional responsibility on teachers who are already stretched too thin as it is. So I think we really need to think about that in terms of not just numbers of students, but just what that could do to already challenging situations in our schools right now.
Ms. Ducharme?
I'm sorry, Ms. Robinson, I misunderstood the in the box versus on deck, so I didn't mean to jump the gun. Okay, I was like, is she waiting for me?
It's baseball season, let's go,
Sorry,
people.
I know. So I just wanted to know if Dr. Christian, you could explain why we consider school choice at all. I heard you say, I understand it. I think I've spent a lot of time trying to understand it because the cost to educate a student is much more than what we get, right? But I understand that we still have the teacher at the front of the classroom, we still have the utilities, we still have a lot of the associated costs, and those costs don't go away if we don't take the school choice student. So I appreciate the question that you asked. I think it's really relevant, but I wonder if maybe you could just talk about that for a second.
So I see several reasons why school choice is something a school district couldn't do. If the Beverly Public Schools chooses to shut down school choice and not accept any students, the students in Beverly still have the option to choice out, and those costs are then hitting on the city. All right. And so you can see this almost as an offset, where Danvers has recently opened school choice and other communities around here have had school choice for a number of years. There are more options for students, and it'll just turn into the flip of resources leaving as opposed to being ahead or balancing. So that's one consideration. Also, the opportunity for different perspectives, varying perspectives, the opportunity for our educators to school choice their children in if they win the lottery, I think is critical as well. So those are just a few of the reasons why, whereas if you close school choice, those options really don't exist after preschool, because that's a tuition-in program for our educators. So just some things to consider, but you know, the overall, you know, school choice is the law, and the choice of the committee. I mean, it does lead to some districts recruiting. The mayor asked Mr. Taylor asked the question about transportation, I believe. And there are some districts across the state that will pay for a bus and send it to the center of town or a neighboring town, and students will get on and be transported, and the district picks up that cost because filling a bus with 40 or 50 students, bringing $5,000 a head, especially in rural districts, there's a lot of competition when it comes to school choice dollars. I think, yeah, I understand where people are coming from, Member Robinson, I do, but.
Can I ask a follow-up question that's sort
Absolutely.
of linked? Can you talk about financial consequences for districts that are facing reduced enrollment outside of, so there are enrollment-related figures that hit our budget, not just on the cost side, but on the revenue side beyond the $5,000. State and federal funding that's based on revenue numbers. So in my mind, it's not necessarily just about the $5,000. Could you talk about that a little bit? My question? No.
I do believe it is just the 5,000, but
Okay.
yeah. And beyond that, any increments for special education services provided.
Maybe I could ask it this way. What amounts of our funding are impacted by our enrollment? Because some of the funding that we get is based on enrollment, right?
But being a minimum aid district,
Okay.
that does not hit us as it might hit other districts that are receiving
Okay.
higher dollars in Chapter 70. As an example, you know, district out in the western part of the state, Athol, Royalston, at one time, 95% of their budget was picked up by Chapter 70. And so that's where enrollment numbers, those per student Chapter 70 funding impacts. As a minimum aid district, it's.
And our school choice numbers aren't part of those enrollment numbers. They're counted separately or in the same bucket?
I would say they're
Or it's not applicable because we're not a minimum aid.
we're counted separately by the 5,000. I mean,
But do they land on our October 1 numbers for the following year's Chapter 70?
No,
No.
No.
Never.
no. So students who choice into our district are not part of the Chapter 70 formula. We do report them as part of the October 1 EPIMS and SIMS data, or SIMS data for students. There's other things that we report on them, but they are not a portion of the Chapter 70 formula.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor.
So a couple questions, Mr. Superintendent, on the school choice. One, do teachers get priority? Two.
no, teachers cannot get priority. That's why I
okay.
said earlier, if they're lucky enough to win the lottery.
Okay. Is our enrollment decreasing because we're about 4,600 now, and this graph shows us 4371.
Yeah, our enrollment has largely stayed static. If you remember, either last meeting or 2 meetings ago, they blur together. Our enrollment has largely stayed static over the last 10 years.
Okay, all right. And I would assume, and 3, we don't have to technically make this decision, technically under the law, until 6/1/2026. Is that a correct statement?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I would ask you to tell us why we should make this decision now, but President Bisnick, I know you have a question.
I think he just did that. I think.
I'm not sure that I'm the person asked, but let me say this. There are families who have already applied for their children to choice to Beverly next year. I would agree we don't have to make the decision in, where are we now, early April. But when would you, in terms of a fairness to those families and kids, when do we generally try to hold the lottery?
So I believe the policy says, and I'm remembering vaguely from holding it last year, we did it twice, and one was right before school started, the week before school started, and I think we did one in early July. I think the lottery is actually supposed to be held in the June timeframe, but with the transition. So I believe we held the first one in the July timeframe. So
I think we're going to want to make our decisions and, kind of direct the superintendent on how to proceed. Because those families are, they're in limbo until they know, right? So, when Dr. Cushing, if I could ask then, Madam President, I know you've got it as a voting item for tonight. If we vote it tonight, fine. If people aren't ready to vote it tonight, what would be the point of holding it? What information do people need? And then, when would we vote it? Right?
I see your hand, Ms. Ducharme. Hold, please. May we please go to the back row?
I just wanted to share that policy JFBB, which is the school committee's policy, reads that it is the policy of this district to admit non-resident students under the terms and conditions of the interdistrict school choice law under the following conditions. 1, that by May 1 of every school year, the administration will determine the number of spaces in each school available for school choice, and that by June 1 of every year, its consideration is being given to withdraw provision the choice of law. And so just wanted to give you those 2 deadlines. So it's being brought forward now to be compliant with our policy that it had to come forward prior to May 1, but the body doesn't have to vote until prior to June 1.
All right, so Dr. Cushing, do you have anything to say to Mayor Mike's question relative to what is an advantage or disadvantage of voting this evening or 2 weeks from now or June 1st?
I would appreciate not pushing it further than 2 weeks from now, simply because notifying families, we may not be the only district that they're looking at. I do also respect and understand the concerns of the committee members about that. I do also see this as we're seeing declining enrollments across the state. So I do see this as a hedge against that and a way to protect teachers' positions and paraprofessional positions. So I see this as a hedge against that. It's not perfect. I will say I have participated in heavy marketing of a previous district to really drive our school choice numbers up because it became the lifeblood of the district. I mean, I was able to bring in about 120 or so school choice students to my middle school, which turned into, multiply that times 5,000. And they were just empty seats that we were filling anyway. And it was able to preserve and save parts of the academic programs. I'm not saying that necessarily here with where our numbers are, but I do see it as a hedge against what many districts are seeing. And Member Robinson, not to put you on the spot, but Danvers was once a high school of 1,200 and now is 8, 9. I don't know the exact number, but just, I mean, and so as a hedge against future drops.
Ms. Ducharme, I believe your hand was in the queue.
So I am thoughtful of the comment that Ms. Cahill made based on some of the comments that we heard tonight at the open forum. I think that we've talked a lot about the needs of our students being very different than they were years ago, and that has a lot to do with social emotional needs. I also think that even if the 2 deadlines that Ms. Puglisi outlined for us, even if we didn't have to decide until June, I echo the concern about informing parents, but equally, if not more important, I really want our administration to be able to plan for and budget for the amount of kids that we're going to have in the building, how many teachers we need to put where. This is very relevant to the budget, but also very relevant to the planning that I feel they need to consider and prepare for in order to best fit our students. So it is difficult. It is difficult because there are a lot of different ways to look at this. And as we heard from Ms. Walsh tonight, many things are true at the same time. It's not without concern, but I think the benefit to school choice far outweighs the concerns that I have. So I'm very in favor of this, but not because I don't feel the concerns. But I don't think voting against it is going to solve those concerns. I think it's going to compound other concerns.
Mr. Mayor Mike?
So with what I'm hearing, I mean, for those of us who've been on the committee for a number of years, we recognize and understand this process and this vote every year. I think for folks who are seeing it or having to make it for the first time, it's a little harder. I personally am comfortable with the numbers we're looking at and am ready to vote. I guess I'd ask, since Ms. Cahill was the one who initially articulated a concern about middle school numbers, and then Ms. Robinson echoed them, what would you do differently there with the, really, I think we're looking at 7, 8, where we had historically been at 10 and went to 15 just a year ago. What would you look to do differently than what's showing there on the page right now? I'm just looking to try to move a conversation and get us to where we can vote. Does that make sense, Madam President?
Yes, Mayor Mike?
I think in reality that you're going to see that difference over time. The numbers are going to move up the way they're going to move up anyway. So if we're moving 8 fourth graders into 5th grade, where those 8 are still maintaining, I think it's looking at it moving forward. I don't see that the social emotional needs of the classroom or the students in the classroom or the educational needs or the staffing is going to greatly improve over the next several years. So if we start diminishing those numbers and we're not taking more kids in, we're setting ourselves up to be more ready to handle the challenges as these kids move through the system. The numbers are going to reduce.
Madam President, so
Yes, Mayor Mike?
I thought we were just talking about whether the 15 should stay at 15. Are you suggesting you'd like to see the available slots at the younger grade levels go down from 10?
They cannot. They cannot, right? We could take 4th grade and put it down to 8 because there are 8 we have already accepted. Well, actually, 4th grade would have to be 9 because they're getting, I'm off by
Right.
right,
No,
you know
I
what
hear
I'm
you.
talking about, right?
I mean, I guess I did not realize that's what you were suggesting. I wouldn't be supportive of that in the least. I think our program is currently kind of largely right-sized.
All right, so I'm going to take a moment and try to, I do have a question for you, Dr. Cushing, and/or Emma, and then I want to try to explain something that maybe will help people understand a little better. My question for you is, how is it that we have 12 in kindergarten this year and 11 in grade 1 when our limits were 10? How are we overcount in those two buckets?
Well, it's not necessarily moved in. It may be that Beverly students who are here moved out, and move them into school choice so that, the parents
Officially,
were
we did the right
looking
thing. Okay.
to
So,
remain.
what I want to share with the body is, for instance, the biggest decision on our docket right now is the incoming kindergartners. And so if you look on this other sheet that's not yellow, and you look across all the kindergarten classrooms, we have a number of classrooms that are at 20, 21, somebody's at 23. Then we have a number of classrooms that are under 20. And so if you count, for everybody who's under 20, if you bring them up to 20, that would fill 8 seats. So by taking 8 additional children, if we voted for 8 instead of quote unquote 10, we have absolute control over where those children go. And we could bring every class, every kindergarten class size that's currently below 20 up to 20. We could take all 10, and then two more classes would have 21. And we would get 10 times $5,000 more than we would otherwise have. And so I just want to point that out. We have control over where they go. It's not like we would say, and we literally can put 1 in one place and 1 in another. And then relative to the numbers further down the page, I really want you to think hard about, for however many students are in this building today, is it really going to make a difference to have one more child come in at 6th grade next year? That's literally what spot we have open in 6th grade for next year, 1 additional spot that wasn't previously filled. So I also understand, and I wish to recognize and acknowledge that there is room for improvement across our district, and multiple things can be true at the same time, and we are, in some financially difficult times. So that's where I'm going to leave that. I'll just leave that. I just wanted people to understand that relative to the incoming kindergartners, whether we take them or not, $50,000 is $50,000. We heard a lot of people talk this evening about, please don't raise our rates on some of our fees. You heard the mayor say he wished we didn't have any fees. This is an income source available to us. If we raise each of our kindergarten classes to 20 children, that is well within what our body has previously, even if some of you weren't on that for that vote, but what this body has previously voted for recommended class sizes, well within that. Ms. Lennox, I'm sorry to make you wait.
Oh, that's okay. I just personally, to me, 20 kids in a kindergarten class is already too many kids. So assuming that there's summer enrollments, kids coming in late, and we let in these 10 other kids, that's like seeing classrooms that have 23 kids. That's too many to me. So I don't really feel comfortable with 10 kindergarten seats. And I know you said enrollment is looking lower, but we don't know what the summer is going to hold. And also, I feel like I heard in the past that a lot of kids stay like at their preschool setting for kindergarten and then enter public school in 1st grade. So then those numbers are possibly going up again. And I just am uncomfortable with these like over 20 numbers for those young grades. And also, middle school, the classes are just big, and I don't feel comfortable making those classes bigger. Thanks.
Okay, how about, anybody notice whose hand went up first? I don't mind waiting. Mr. Taylor. Oh, sorry, my microphone was not on, and now I'm getting yelled at by Mr. Kim. Mr. Taylor, you get to go first, then Ms. Robinson, then Ms. Ducharme.
I think we have to be very realistic as a committee. So let's talk realistically. We're looking at raising the hockey fee to potentially $1,000 for parents. If we give up some of these numbers in middle school, we're talking about giving up to 13 spots available. Giving that up times $5,000, that comes to about $65,000. Who wants to go in front of a hockey parent and tell them, you know what, we're going to raise hockey fees to $3,000 or $5,000 or whatever it's going to be? I think we need to take a real hard look and be leaders, as Jim Hayes, the former superintendent, said, not managers. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson, you're next.
Thank you. I have something to say about, in response to that, Mr. Taylor. I think it's a slippery slope to look at, to connect this with the hockey fees. I think what the hockey families are looking for is more equity, having the fees be more equitably raised across all sports. I don't think it's fair to say if we raise the hockey fees, we'll save a teacher, et cetera. It doesn't seem fair to put those two against each other, like we do with roads and sidewalks or teachers. I don't like it when people say that, because those things shouldn't be compared, with all respect, of course. But I would like to better understand. So we have in front of us a list of all the teachers and their classes, correct? So say nobody retired, nobody left for another position. All these positions are going to be, all these positions would be available next year?
We've proposed enrollment reductions.
So without knowing the enrollment reductions, unfortunately, this doesn't show us anything. We
But
can't.
in the last meeting, I presented the enrollment reductions and what the class sizes would be. And so they are still within and under the guidelines established at two specific points by this body. So I wouldn't present the school choice numbers where they were if it would affect those numbers. If you were to accept these numbers, it does not negatively impact even with those enrollment reductions.
So would there still, I just think that with these in front of us, it's hard to really understand what the numbers are, what the numbers will be, because this is what's in front of us. I think that our fairly new body is looking at these numbers and thinking, we could put another couple of people in these classes, because there's 4 kindergarten teachers at Ayers. And then what if there aren't? And we
But
can't.
we're not proposing those reductions. The reductions are being proposed at grade 3, at grade 4, and 5th grade, just off the top of my head.
And at what schools, Dr. Cushing, can you please remind the body?
Cove, Centerville, and Hannah. Cove is 4th grade. Hannah is 4th grade. Centerville is 3rd grade. 2 5th grade teachers.
I think for the purposes.
I'm just going straight from memory.
Right.
I apologize.
I think for the purposes of this, you said what data I believe is also in my brain, and for the purposes of this conversation, if, for instance, you look at the Hannah School and the 4th grade, although I counted the wrong group. So I was going to say, for instance, 4th grade right now, this year, we have classroom sizes of 12, 14, 17, 19. You add those together, and then you divide by 3 instead of dividing by 4, it gives you classroom sizes of 20. 21, 2 at 20, 1 at 21, 1, 2 at 21, and 1 at 20. So that's how you would figure that out and so the fact that that's not figured out and we have some of those questions,
That isn't a slide in last committee's presentation. for
And
the
I don't mean to discount that, and I appreciate that. I think I also appreciate if we could see it, quote unquote, now.
Yep.
And, but maybe the body wanted to see it in their packet. And so we have some wiggle room. I don't want people to feel like they're under duress, they're making a decision under duress. And so if in fact the body wants to, for instance, get an accurate or get a check on the total enrollment number, because I heard somebody say that earlier.
I have that number.
Okay, if they wanted to see, given the staff reductions that have already been discussed, how would that reflect on these projected class sizes? We certainly can do that. We can table this item until our next meeting, and if there's any other requests for information, we can pass those requests over so that at our next meeting, we're better prepared or maybe feeling more comfortable to take a vote. Yes, Mr. Mayor Mike.
Do you want a motion to table?
I am but the herder of the cats of this body.
What do people think of a motion to table the pending motion until the next meeting? We see. So I'll make that motion then.
Oh, the 2K Hills. How convenient for me. Any discussion on this particular motion? Yes, Ms. Frost.
If we are going to bring it to the next meeting, is there any way we could have that information ahead of time so that we don't come ill-prepared? If that makes sense, so like we know, thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other discussion before we take the motion, before we take the vote to table this item until our next meeting? Seeing none, all those in favor of tabling? Ms. Ducharme, is your hand up or down, honey? I can't see. Your hand is down. You don't want to table?
The opposite end, sorry.
All those opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right, so that passes 8-1. Okay, here we go. Let me find my agenda.
Still me.
Dr. Cushing, it's still you.
And now I'm having difficulty. All right, so just to refresh everybody, critical essential question is how do we maintain and improve upon instructional practices and comprehensive student support while operating within fiscal limits? So tonight, I will be presenting in relationship to the budget priorities. Again, provide robust and diversified student learning opportunities, provide comprehensive student supports in a least restrictive environment, long-range strategic planning and prioritization to support student belonging, engagement, and learning, and then to enhance communication with stakeholders. So budget drivers, we've reviewed this several times now, but our contractual obligations, our enrollment, student needs, special education increases, inflation, and rising costs of goods and services, and the availability of budget offsets. So tonight, I plan to present what could best be termed as a balanced budget overview. I've talked about some aspirational things. I've talked about enrollment reductions, but still adding. And so those were budgets in the neighborhood of $7 million, budgets on the high $5 million. And tonight, presenting the balanced budget approach here. So you can see here that between grants and revolving funds, we currently have about 49 positions on those grants and revolving accounts. You can see, just as referencing school choice, over 8 positions currently rest when looking at school choice. So just as you consider, and various grants from the state, federal government, Title I, Title II, DPH, and then revolving accounts, where those positions lie, and school nutrition, other revolving totals available. Okay. So looking at district level reductions in critical needs. So we've talked previously, the enrollment numbers with the assistant teacher of the deaf, reducing that 0.4 position, reducing our advertising budget. So that's a budget reduction, straight budget reduction. We'll find another way or a free way to make whatever advertising we need to do. But to reallocate those resources. Technology support and integration specialist, the total budget impact of that is about $80,000, and that's a workflow shift in reducing the number of staff, but reallocating workflow and utilizing resources available through technology to streamline and make better, make do with what we have. Currently in this year's budget is an elementary librarian position that was held throughout the year due to concerns with other unknown costs as we went through the year, and the ability to provide quality with one person across 5 schools, which I don't think we would get, and would be simply maintaining a collection. Curriculum software, primarily Lexia and ST Math, reducing that by $100,000, and looking at some available grants and other funds available, but taking this out of the general fund and really streamlining what we're looking at for curriculum software. Elementary staff computers, there are, I believe, over 200 computers that will enter their 6th year of service for our elementary teachers. To purchase those outright would be approximately $250,000. If we shift to a lease on this, we're able to reallocate $200,000 as a reduction, as the lease will cost us approximately $50,000 per year. In looking at the 2nd grade iPads, kindergarten and 1st grade were once one-to-one iPads, but in looking at the concerns of students overusing technology, as well as the shifts that we've seen in the kindergarten and 1st grade with students using classroom sets of maybe 5 or so iPads per class, and using an station model as opposed to everybody on the iPad at the same time. So that would be a savings of approximately $159,000. Right now, we have a special education clerk position that is currently vacant, and that would be a budget reduction. And then across the district, retirement savings from the approximately 12 members who are retiring of about $200,000. Some things that fall in that critical needs that I've spoken about previously that we'd look to add back is to increase, and I apologize, it's cut off here, but it's supposed to say increase to critical needs. 2 pre-K paras, AIM paras across the district at 5.0, right? So middle school, North Beverly, Cove, heirs potentially, but really making sure that across the district we're looking at. You'll know that number was initially 8, but we're trying to bring forward a balanced budget. Also allocating about $80,000 towards out-of-district anticipated increases. There are numerous rate increases that we're facing from programs, either from the collaborative increasing by approximately 10%, the reconstitution of some programs where those rates can go up higher than what OSD puts forward. So that's it. It ends up being a total district-wide change of $500,676. Again, as we talk about reductions of positions, I want to be very clear that there are people who are attached to these positions. They're passionate, they're dedicated, they bring a lot to our district, and I want to, with all due respect to them and those positions, let the committee know that these conversations were initially had with those individuals today, and every single person brings inherent value and worth to their work and to what they do in this vocation, and is incredibly important to our students. But, so I just wanted to say that. I've previously spoken, and earlier this evening spoke about the enrollment reductions at Hannah, Centerville, and Cove. Looking at reducing the fellows that we currently welcome from Endicott and Merrimack across the district, so that would be no fellows for the district. That money that you see there helps offset their tuition costs so that they can dedicate essentially a full year experience. Many of these fellows have become Beverly Public Schools educators, so there is a distinct trade-off to not funding the fellows. Reducing the City Connects, which is one person, 0.5 and 0.5 at Hannah and Ayers. But then looking at here some critical need shifts. So we'd be shifting based on caseloads, which I have data for later in this presentation, on shifting a special education teacher from Centerville to one location in the district, looking to add a special education teacher to Hannah and Ayers, and also adding to the SSP program, similar to what we were doing with the AIM program earlier, looking at identified needs, hearing what people are saying, and listening to how we need to best support our programs, the SSP para to Centerville. So here are, which you need binoculars to see, but the projected enrollments. So this slide was in last week as well. But again, happy to always share this out.
Dr. Cushing?
Yep.
I apologize. Can you go back one slide for a second? In essence, that sheet is like this sheet that we have in our packets today, right? But just for the elementaries?
Correct, and projected.
The table has been flipped the other direction, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So,
Ms. Ducharme, I'm sorry, Dr. Cushing.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to say it again for the microphone. Thank you for flipping back two slides. The instructional coaches, I understand they might not be direct student facing, but I am of the belief and understanding that a lot of those positions, while they might not be direct student facing, are still very much student important to the students. And so can you talk to me a little bit, and I guess repeat maybe, because maybe I missed some of it. I'm concerned about all of this, of course. I'm following the rationale. Can you talk about the instructional coaches a little bit?
did I skip over that? I may well have.
I think you did.
Huh?
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
Okay,
I may have.
maybe I missed it because I'm trying to keep up with the numbers. It's a lot of money. I see that. But I just see 3 different instructional coaches, and I think those instructional coach roles are really important.
They are. We're maintaining 5, 1 at each elementary school across the district. You're right.
How will they operate? Like, what function will they serve?
They would serve both math and ELA coaching roles and responsibilities to still support our educators in lesson planning, lesson delivery, and some intervention support you're right, that some of our coaches do provide intervention support to our students. And so, this is,
I mean, in the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, like, this is a big conversation in our district. And so I
It is.
have some concern about, what we understand about MTSS and how we're delivering that, how we're not delivering that, how we need to do better about making that consistent across all the districts. I want to make sure we're not taking a step back here in that subject. And maybe that's something we need to ask you for more information on. If you're not ready tonight, I respect that I'm throwing a lot at you, but
I mean, in presenting a balanced budget, and if you look across the Commonwealth, there are a lot of districts who are trying to make sure that we're doing the absolute best possible, and, realizing that this is still over a 5% increase to the budget, but, there are drivers that are, forcing us to really take, look at difficult decisions and to, consider how we can reallocate resources to meet some of those critical needs and to best position us for success. There are certain cuts, though, that, are not ideal. You'll notice that, I'm not on the middle school slide yet, but there was a talk of counseling and counseling positions. The American School Counseling Association recommends a ratio of 250 to 1. As an example, the national average is somewhere in the mid 300s. And while I believe in having lots of counseling support, the reality is that that support also comes at costs. We're not looking to take that out of the middle school, but we are looking at the City Connects positions. We're looking at what our substantially separate programs need, and we're trying to really take a conscientious approach to making sure that we have the best support possible while also delivering a balanced budget.
Mr. Taylor?
A couple of questions, Dr. Cushing, and I think the committee needs to be mindful, and I appreciate your being mindful, about presenting a balanced budget with some hard choices and some lonely truths to us, given that Malden just defeated an override, Marblehead has a $7.7 million budget deficit, Beverly's facing hard choices, and I think Hamilton just issued a non-binding resolution not to pay for the consolidation of their school system. So we need to keep that in mind. But with that said, I do have some questions with Grace. Our elementary librarian, you want to get rid of, or not get rid of, but you want to reduce our investment in that. So one question might be, who will oversee the library? Books, collections, you got to manage who's going to do library stuff.
It falls under the direction of the principal. And
Okay.
Ms. Wozniak mentioned it tonight.
Okay.
That the elementary school PTOs are in large part managing that. And I mean, if you're looking at, if you wanted to look at it, let's just take the number inclusive of benefits, all right, of a person coming in needing benefits, and a master's 15 step 6 would cost about $108,000, all right? And so if we wanted to put 5 librarians in that can provide digital literacy curriculum support for our students in a very digital world where we're trying to pass laws to put the genie back in the bottle, one librarian across the district is not feasible for a person to do that job. It does not lead to, yeah.
I recognize that.
And so I'm simply saying it would be an investment of the district of $540,000
In 25 years, we have not had a librarian at all 5 elementary schools. I believe that is a correct statement. But so I'm just asking how that would be handled, because I think our community needs to hear that. The other question I had in terms of the fellows, because I think they can be very advantageous to our district. You've proposed reducing our investment in that as a means to meet our budget needs. Is it possible that Endicott or Merrimack, what some schools have done is asked the school to pay for the fellow, because the idea is the kid is already paying tuition to Merrimack, let's say.
This offsets their tuition.
Okay.
Right. This is not just, this isn't Endicott or Merrimack is increasing their bottom line. This is an offset for the student's tuition, who is then spending the 180 plus days in district operating as, and I mean, if we're looking at that program, I think it's wonderful if we could find an outside funder to help support that as a niche program. That would be wonderful and tremendous. But when looking at teachers, instructional aides, paraprofessionals, other things across the district, and I mean, hopefully there's some room to find one, but I have a hard time, and they bring tremendous value for the most part to our district. There are sometimes they don't work out, but.
And President Visick, may I ask you a question? You've been a tremendous advocate for City Connects. And I was wondering if you could talk about how you feel, how that interacts with the reductions that are on the table today.
So what I will say is that there is a tremendous amount of data available. Many people this evening have already spoken to it, that the needs of our children have changed. Society in general expects a tremendous amount out of the educational system, that for approximately 6 hours a day, 180 days of the year, we are expected to, amongst other things, be a dentistry, right? We do fluoride treatments, and we serve breakfast and we serve lunch. We often arrange for the after-school care. It's often covered by a scholarship. We partner with many different organizations across the city, and that's part of what City Connects does, is to try to organize and maintain those connections, because the expectations of what the school system can provide have increased tremendously, and the children's needs have increased. And there's incredibly clear data that shows that a child who comes to school, the analogy is with a backpack full of problems, cannot sit in the chair and learn. They come to school hungry, they're not going to sit there and be able to learn. And I can name a ton of other problems, and they are all worse than coming to school hungry. And so this idea of a community-based school, sometimes it's called that, sometimes it is called, the Harvard program calls it a children's cabinet, and they challenge communities to formulate a children's cabinet that's centered around the mayor and the other things like the Y and the other organizations in town, that then can try to provide all of those additional services and coordinate those services so that the children have a chance of being able to learn when they walk in the door. So I, while sitting in this chair, am doing my best to be the chair and run the meetings. And I will certainly, by the time it is time to vote, I may well bring my own amendments forward. This is not the time for that. Certainly, we can have as many discussions as we want. But that's as much as I'm going to say about that. But thank you for asking. Yes, Mr. Robinson?
I just want to clarify, there's more, right? There's more to these, like, there's more slides. We're not done with this.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, I want to.
I just want to make sure there weren't any more questions.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So looking at middle school reductions, previously spoke about the enrollment reductions for fifth grade based on rising fourth grade numbers. Also looking to reduce the middle school registrar position. And then looking for an increase for the assistant principal. Right now, we have 3. One serves 700 students. The other serves grades 5 and 6. If you look at the work of the Annenberg and Gates Foundation around small learning communities, having leaders who can connect with kids, work with teachers, work with educators, not just teachers, sorry for leaving the paraprofession out, but working with our educators to really be able to try to bring balance to our middle school and provide as best support we can for our students. You'll notice there are no reductions to the counseling staff here. There will be 7.8 adjustment counselors next year and 1.0 guidance counselors. And, I know the invaluable work in my middle school. We switched from guidance counselors to all adjustment counselors because of the clinical nature of the work to really help middle schoolers. So that's why, there are not reductions here. So looking at the anticipated learning center caseloads, you can see here, we took we looked at basically the maximum numbers possible based on where we are right now and considerations for the future for an anticipated start of year count and an anticipated end of year count. You'll see here in this column the proposed teacher count. So 3 at Ayers, Cove, Hannah, and North Beverly, 2 at Centerville. Then you see the paraprofessional numbers. These are not assigned to programs. These are not one-to-one paras. These are paras as needed and assigned for student needs. And so looking at the anticipated start of your caseload, this is for the teacher for caseload, the anticipated end of year caseload based on the numbers, anticipated start of year ratio with all staff considered, paraprofessionals and teachers, and then the anticipated end of year ratios. All right, then similarly, Beverly Middle School for those grades, the anticipated start of year counts, the anticipated end of year counts.
And Dr. Cushing, can you enlighten the group why we expect the numbers to be higher at the end of the year?
As students may move in or evaluations occur, students are picked up on IEPs over the course of the year. So those are why the numbers may increase.
Thank you. Ms. Coelho.
So on the, I think it was back one slide.
Mm-hmm.
So you're proposing to eliminate 2 fifth grade teachers at the middle school?
It's a team.
Oh, a whole team?
Yeah.
And then bring in a new assistant principal? Is that going to put more on another team and make it more chaotic for that other team?
The enrollment numbers, don't show that. The enrollment numbers based on 4th grade to 5th grade show that reducing the team does not increase the numbers substantially.
So are we eliminating them altogether or just moving them into like a different?
One's a retirement, and we're trying to make sure that as best as possible, we're finding places for teachers within the available open spots from retirements or some of these critical needs that we're putting forward.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the back row when my favorite sheet comes in the mail this week with we usually only look at the classroom sizes, K to 4. Can we add 5th grade to that, please?
So absolutely, in last week's presentation, there was a slide about projected enrollments for the on-team classes for grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. And those figures we expect at the 5th grade to be about 24 students per on-team class. At the 6th grade, about 23 students per on-team class. Grade 7, 23 per on-team class. And at grade 8, 24 students per on-team class.
Thank you, and that's very nice of you to provide that in real time. And what I heard the board ask for, I'm from Michigan, we have school boards, not school committees, I apologize. The sleepier I get, the more you hear my accent and the more you hear me slip into Midwestern nomenclature. Heard the committee ask to see the numbers, so that's my ask, is that we add, because that sheet, my favorite sheet, only goes K to 4, and that we, if we could add that slide so everybody has everything in front of their eyes in one place, that I believe would be beneficial to the committee.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is your hand still up?
Well, I only had a second part to it, that's why.
Please follow.
Okay, so my other part was, the second part was, I understand that the incoming 4th grade for the 5th grade is a little lower, so that's why you're trying to eliminate the team. But it does look like the 3rd grade that will be coming into the 4th grade for the 5th grade the following year does seem a little higher. And then the current year's 2nd grade along the board is wildly high. So we're only going to have to add that team back. It's only a Band-Aid because we're going to have to add that team back come the year after, because this year's 2nd grade class along the board is wildly high, same with the 3rd grade.
And we'll have to address that in those budget years. This is trying to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the district for next year. And yes, you're right, but we've got to focus on next year. I'm not disagreeing, but what I'm trying to do is really look, and I've listened to so many teachers, I've listened to so many staff, and what I'm trying to do is to address the needs, especially with some of these special education asks, with support. One of the things I heard through so many of the interview meetings I had with about 80 plus teachers over the summer, and so many of the middle school people at that time were talking about, I couldn't believe the district eliminated an assistant principal at the middle school. So trying to be responsive to needs and understand the supports of what a school this size needs. Again, these are proposals. The committee has the right to offer amendments and proposals in the future. But as I've said previously, and I know it's been brought up tonight, but we are very thin compared to other districts across the Commonwealth for similarly sized districts of 4,600 students. So I will fix whatever is wrong on that school choice sheet, but of 4,600 students. And I think I saw a hand out of my corner of my eye over here, but I could be wrong.
Was there a hand up? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, yes.
Just to follow from that, so your hope is to reposition teachers, because I know you had talked about 3rd and 4th grade removing teachers as well from some of the schools. Are you hoping to put them in different roles? Because I do see like the 1st and 2nd grade classes do look higher. So in the future, like having...
Yeah, the reductions will affect some non-professional staff, which I don't want to Like, I was a non-professional staff who was RIFed for the first 4 years of my career in the Lynn Public Schools, so I don't want anyone to think that I take any of this lightly, or any reductions. There are a lot of quality educators, not just in Beverly, but across the Commonwealth, who are facing these tough decisions because I would say at the state level in particular, we can't figure out Chapter 70. Sorry to get political on you, but you know, the bottom line is that local tax revenue either A, needs to go up. Member Taylor mentioned Malden's, which I didn't even know, failing. One of my previous school districts is looking for a townwide 3.3, and 1 million of that to go to support the regional school district. I would be stunned. Sorry, my contacts just flipped on me. I would be stunned if it passes, just knowing that community. The bottom line is that I respect and understand where the hockey parents are coming from. I respect and understand what fees do to parents who are facing a lot of stuff. But we also have an obligation to our students to put the best product in front of them. This has taken a substantial amount of work and really trying to find the best possible solution. Like I've said to you all along, I'm going to present 3 budgets. There are a lot of things I didn't even mention. All right. I mean, I've mentioned them, but they haven't been put on paper about a fine and performing arts director, or, you know, do we want to really invest in a robotics program, and what does a robotics teacher look like? Or if we start looking at Chapter 74 programming, what do those programs and teachers look like? And I do believe we as a district need to look at these things and grow our teaching force and grow our instructional aid paraprofessional force and grow our leadership core. But all of those take tough fiscal decisions. Sorry. I know I diatribed there, but we're trying to present the absolute best that preserves jobs, not for the sake of preserving jobs, but because preserving things that students need. Preserving things that students need to be successful so that when they're in their particular grade, 4th grade as an example, that they're getting everything they need to have the best 4th grade experience possible, to have the best teachers in front of them. You know, teachers like Miss Meza here, or Trevor in the back, Harwood, all right? Like, trying to make sure that we're putting the best product in front of them. And the reality is that there are fiscal constraints. And I'm trying to sell to the city of Beverly and its residents that our needs, and I've said this for how many budget meetings now, that there are needs that we need to start talking about. Mr. Taylor mentioned librarians, okay? And so where on the priority list does that fall when thinking about counselors, or when thinking about robotics programs, or when thinking about CTE programming, or whatever it might be for the district? Or how do we make our fine and performing arts program even more robust with a theater craft class at our high school? Or how do we make sure that programs like Express Yourself are still a part of what we offer our students here, because it really is important to them? So I probably said too much, as my words earlier tonight were definitely used against me. But it's, we have tough choices to make. And I'm not preserving jobs for an employment program. I'm preserving jobs because it is what our students need, and trying to really address our critical needs.
Okay, so I'm just going to remind everybody, and Dr. Cushing kind of just did as well. We're hearing, we started the budget process, we're trying to be transparent, and everybody has in their toolbox, as we approach the votes on the budget, to bring forward amendments, and so just ask you to keep that in mind. And are you finished with your items?
Oh, no. Sorry. And I know the lights are going to turn off on us. So this actually speaks to the enrollment adjustments, that the slide was still here. Thank you, Emma. Appreciate it. The Monster Energy is wearing off, so I forgot. All right. And then high school reductions and critical asks. So,
Could you go back to the prior slide? Just
Yep.
have a minute with it?
Yep, I apologize.
Can you walk us through on team and et cetera?
Yeah, so it would be 14 staff members on 5th grade, 16 on 6th grade with those 360 students. 7th and 8th grade operate differently in the team model. That's where that comes. And world language is a part of the on-team experience. It's not part of, as some middle schools do, but in order to make sure class sizes are smaller, we run our world language as part of the on-team experience.
25, yeah, 25.
And so that class size, the class size goes up to around 30 for some of the global application classes. And we're looking to shift and bring in another art teacher hopefully next year. And it goes just so that if anybody can't read it, these class size assumptions are not reductive reflective of students in substantially separate programs. Yep. And then, so looking at our high school, looking at adding 2 special education teachers to our high school. That is definitely a need-based driver. Budget reduction of a school adjustment counselor at 0.5 and a guidance counselor at 0.5. Those are 2 separate human beings. And then enrollment reduction of 1.0. I want to be clear, this is not going to reduce offerings, according to Principal Thomas. And the average class size in science will go from 19 students to 22 students. So it's an average increase of 3 students per class. So looking at this as an enrollment reduction, did not present this in the last meeting. This is the first time you are seeing this. And that is the end of this presentation for this evening.
Dr. Cushing, I ask, yes, Lindsay. Mr. Sharm, sorry.
I just wonder if you could talk about the middle school library situation for a second?
Sure, happy to.
The status.
Yep, we had a number of candidates. I sent an update to the committee, I believe last week. We had a number of candidates who were interviewing when they found out that the position was for this year, even though it was posted as that. All certified candidates withdrew, leaving us with 1 uncertified candidate. We then went back to the application pool and saw that there was a certified person in there, interviewed, and the person has been unresponsive to the job offer. And we have an interview happening Friday with another certified candidate who has surfaced at 9 a.m. Our hope is to fill the position. I've read all 107 postcards that were given to me. I value and find the librarian position to be exceptionally important and critical to a school. And, if we had unlimited resources, would advocate and support consideration of the elementary librarians. It's just, we have you are our governing body. Our regulatory body is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And we are required to exhaust all resources with certified candidates before we seek waivers for uncertified candidates.
Yes, please.
Oh, I turned my microphone off. I meant to turn it on. Can you speak to the job posting and the timing of that?
I would say that it was posted adequately because sometimes mid-year retirements are very difficult to fill as people have commitments in other districts, even for positions as coveted as this one. I'm stunned that we're currently being essentially ghosted by a person. To the fact of unresponsive to my personal calls. So apparently, maybe it's the commute from where they live or however it may be, but I'm hopeful for Friday's applicant. We were surprised when essentially all candidates were like, nope, not for this year or next year, but not for this year.
Okay, so Dr. Cushing, I would like you to go back to the middle school slide for a minute.
This one?
No,
This one?
Yes, that one. So to Ms. Coelho's question, right? If we were to, as a body, have an appetite to restore one of the fifth grade teams, then we would take the 346 and divide by 16 instead of dividing by 14. And yes or no for a class size. I get 25. If I divide 346 by 14, I get 25 right now, today, on that slide. I believe that's how we got to the 24.7. We divide by 14. And so if I restore a fifth grade team, then I add 2 to that number, and I would divide 346 by then 16 instead of by 14. And I believe that my math then makes those class sizes on the order of 21 and 22, just as an FYI. So if we restore that team, like this is the kind of math we can all do at home. You can call Mr. Taylor if you need help. He's a bean counter for a living. So that you can play around with your own numbers and say, okay, I a class size of 22 instead of a class size of 25, that's something that I'm interested in, for instance. Or maybe you feel like, all right, that's not enough of a difference to make me spend 200 and however many $1,000. So just wanted to point that out. And then I wanted to also say sometimes what we maybe want to think about, and it's not our job to run the district. However, I'll give you an example. In my budget meeting with Dr. Cushing, I talked to him about reimagining some of our positions because, again, those of us who've been here a while, there was a day when we didn't have STEM teachers in our elementaries. And as Mr. Taylor aptly pointed out this evening, there was a day a long time ago when we had elementary librarians in our schools, but we didn't have STEM teachers. So that shift happened because education shifted. We used to have a patent wing and we don't have a patent wing anymore. Education shifted and now it's shifting back relative to Chapter 74. That is to say, sometimes we can do more by doing less or by reimagining what we're doing. And so one of the many conversations I've had with Dr. Cushing is about whether we could swing the pendulum back. That pendulum that's doing STEM things, could it be reimagined to, because our librarians used to teach technology, right? Off of our elementary libraries, there was a tech room, and so they used to teach the tech to the children. So there are possibilities there, and there's everybody in this room has a day job, but sometimes we need to think more creatively and think outside the box. And now, are you done?
This budget has one major assumption, and the assumption is that we're receiving $4.5 million out of the city's available $5.7 million. And so, if we need to make further reductions, those will be further conversations, but trying to look at a balanced budget based on our forecasts and other available information. So, certain assumptions.
Oh, yes, Ms. Robinson.
Okay, so I just have some questions about the assistant principal position. So my understanding from last year was that the concerns were not so much about like the teachers wanted an assistant principal but they didn't really want the idea of like I'm trying to say this the right way. It seems we might be like protecting some director positions that were less valuable to the middle school. When an assistant principal was needed because one assistant principal can't cover 2 grades. That's a lot. And that seems to be how it ended up. So that's why we need somebody else. But there are other director positions, and I don't think we saw a lot of director positions. I didn't see any director positions.
you didn't.
Can you name, can you name some positions? You're losing me. I apologize.
I'm sorry. I don't want to, I mean, we have a restorative practices position. We have multiple curriculum directors.
We have 2 curriculum directors.
And I guess I'd just like to see the data that shows that those positions have actually improved scores, or have they improved student outcomes? Like where's the data that shows that?
We can provide the data surrounding specifically 7th grade math and the increases there and the work that went in. Correct? 7th grade math in particular? Yep. And so just, focusing on the curriculum that's being delivered, focusing on building team meetings, collaborative practice. Without those positions, I don't know how we are able to operationalize, curriculum and instructional delivery checks.
So I guess what I'm just saying is just, like, coaches, it's hard for coaches to implement initiatives at the elementary level. Directors have a hard time implementing restorative practices and or any plan where when we need more teachers. When the teachers are so overwhelmed and classes are overcrowded, and like I said before, that people are stretched too thin to be able to receive the work of people who could be in a classroom instead. So, I mean, I know I say this all the time, but this is the time I really need to drive that point home, is that I think it's irresponsible of us to not be looking at director positions really at all, or assistant principal positions.
All right, Ms. Frost, I'm going to call on you in a second, and then Mr. Mayor Mike Cahill, you're on deck. And I guess I just want to ask you, Ms. Robinson, and maybe not at this point in time, we still have a decent amount of our agenda to get through, or maybe we'll just table all the rest of the items. But I'm very curious to hear more about your ideas, especially in light of the conversations that we've had in the MTSS little subgroup, working group, and the need for people to be doing the data dives to be able to try to help. So I'm curious, I want to learn more, and my understanding is that the curriculum directors are right in the middle of that, but I could be wrong. So that's why I'm saying, not tonight. Ms. Frost?
I think I have questions more than comments. Just thinking about the curriculum director and with which grade levels they work at and the instructional coaches. Not in a micromanaging, but just so I can better understand, is there any way that I could read a job description of what they do and what they're responsible for? That way, so I can better grasp. If we're talking about them on the table, I'd like to understand better. Thank you.
Okay, great. Mayor Cahill?
Thanks, Madam President. Yeah, I have a couple thoughts, but Dr. Cushing, first, I mean, where are the curriculum directors at the middle school? What are they doing?
They're doing
levels, what subject matter?
They're across grades 5 through 8. One is the humanities director and one is the STEM director.
Okay.
And I mean, I can provide job descriptions, and similarly at the high school, humanities and STEM.
I apologize. I was under the impression that we didn't have anybody at the middle school like that we didn't have that vertical. So that's my apology for
don't worry about it.
misunderstanding. I thought there was a gap there. My apologies.
No, it's the right question to ask. It's one of the many right questions, right? So, so our enrollment this year is 1,400-ish at the middle school, 1,400 plus? We'll leave, it's in that range.
14, 18.
Okay, thanks. And we have,
The year some of us were born.
and so, you know, I appreciate that we're all sitting here in good faith and trying to do this. And Mrs. Robinson, you made an assertion that our classes are overcrowded. I don't agree, but it's your assertion.
Can I just overcrowded in terms of the needs in our classrooms? Numbers are numbers. The needs are more important than the numbers. So when I say overcrowded with behaviors, overcrowded with needs that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Okay, I understand the point you're trying to make. I guess if the superintendent and team are going to try to come back and share some more information about the work of the restorative discipline director and the work of the curriculum directors, I guess I'd ask that it be both quantitative and qualitative, because I believe that there's been great value brought by both the creation of the position and the work of the person in the position around restorative discipline. And everything I understand about education says that we need instructional coaches, we need curriculum directors, we need people who are going to ensure the curriculum's strong and the implementation of the curriculum and the instruction is where it needs to be, and that the classroom teachers have those kind of supports. So I hear those director positions as being critically important to the ability of our students to get what they need. And I would, my gut tells me that in this school that those three positions are critically important. So
I would agree with that. And I think it's fair to say, where is the accountable data to support that? I think it's there. I think those positions are critical. I think we need to make sure that our classrooms aren't crowded and that we're meeting the needs. I just don't think that we need just our teachers to meet those needs. I don't think it's fair to expect a teacher to do everything to support a student. I think we need a group of people to support a student, and I think that comes in a variety of different ways. It makes it hard to track accountability, but I think that comes in a lot of different forms.
Yes, Ms. Coelho?
I would just like to add one other thing. I'm sorry, Dr. Cushing, you think I'm a pain in the
No,
double crooked letter.
First of all, I do not, and never.
I'm going to advocate for another group of kids, though. As a mom of 3 special needs kids who have had to sit in countless IEP meetings with teachers either on Zoom or before COVID at large roundtables, I really don't think taking a team away versus adding an assistant principal would be beneficial, because I've heard time after time after time in some of these IEP meetings, they've had to pull a teacher from here, they've had to pull a teacher from there. Teachers don't have time to prepare as well. Just because the class size might be getting a little bit smaller for that grade doesn't necessarily mean the amount of special ed kids in that team is going to get smaller. It might be smaller by X amount so you can have a smaller team, but it might have substantially larger amount of IEP kids or special ed kids where you need the same amount of teams. You might need it so they could have a smaller team and the teachers can handle those kids better. I really do think it should be reevaluated before you cut a whole team and put a little bit more pressure on those fifth grade teachers, because I know it's a lot. It is.
All right, and so I'm going to bounce that right back to you, Ms. Coelho, and tell you to get your little pen and paper out and author your amendment for when we actually consider what we want in the budget before we all vote on it. You can absolutely make an amendment to restore a fifth grade team. And if enough of your friends are on the table, second and vote for that, then so shall it be. Dr. Cushing, do you have anything else you must deliver for news to this board this evening?
Softball team won 16-1.
I heard they had a really good announcer on BevCam too. You know, I'm a little biased.
No, that's the totality of my report. I respect where everyone's coming from. What our team has tried to do is to present the best options, and I know that there are going to be varying degrees of opinion as to whether or not those are the best from many different people.
Okay, so my committee, at this point in time, there is literally nothing else on this agenda that is so pressing as to keep you any later this evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Holy moly. Okay, hold on a second. Robinson and Frost, non-debatable. All those in favor? 9-0 at 10:20. Good evening, everybody.